Hello, it's good to see you. Today we are going to make a Valentine's Day wreath. We haven't done a wreath in a little bit. I was kind of thinking about doing one at Christmas time, and then I ran out of time and it didn't happen. So I thought, well, that's okay. We got Valentine's Day coming up. So I went and did a little shopping. First, I tried to go to Joann Fabrics and Crafts because they always have interesting stuff for the different holidays. They have these unique colors of mesh and decorative items, but when I went by, they didn't have their stuff out yet for Valentine's Day. Not much, not really anything that I could use. So I went over to Michael's and they didn't really have anything either. So I went to Hobby Lobby, and there I did find some stuff. And fortunately, I hit it just right because when I was there, the mesh and all the artificial flowers were 40% off. So I went ahead and just got some stuff because I thought that was pretty cool. Originally, I wanted to kind of go with some different colors for this wreath instead of the traditional red, pink, and white. But I saw this one thing and I don't know, it just made me kind of change my mind. I found these little felt love notes. They're so adorable. And see how cute they are, and they're very lightweight, which is great when you're looking for decorations for a wreath. Lightweight stuff is better because it's easier to fasten to the wreath and have it stay where you want it. Lots of these little, like little love letters, little envelopes. We have pink, white, and there's some red ones too. And we have a little heart to close it in the back. So I thought, wouldn't it be fun to have a wreath and just cover it in love letters, just completely. Just like put all of these on there. I have a little hot glue gun, so we could just go crazy with it. This little cellophane bag has some little jute rope holding it closed here with the little bow. These were $5.49, but they were also 40% off. So okay, I may put every single one of these on there. I may just completely cover it in love letters. So I thought these were really neat. So I thought, well, they're red, pink, and white. So I guess we'll go with red, pink, and white for the colors, but with a bit of a twist. So then I looked at the Valentine's Day mesh. Most of it though is that really long mesh, and I don't use that kind. I like the 6-inch mesh for the wreath. I just find it works better for the technique that I do. So I went over just to the regular mesh, and that's when I saw it was 40% off. So I got this, this is Poly Pro Mesh Ribbon, that's what they call it. So I got this roll that's white, and it has little stripes in it that are kind of, I don't know, kind of iridescent, little greenish blue stripes. It won't matter, I mean, it's not a big deal. It's not really going to stand out in the wreath. So we're going to put some white mesh in there. I also picked up a roll of red mesh. So these were all $5.99 with, and then 40% off of that. So it was pretty cheap. I was pretty happy with it. I like the mesh at Michael's, but it's really expensive. This roll at Michael's would be anywhere from $10 to $15, and they used to put it on sale half price pretty frequently, but they hardly ever do anymore. So anymore, really, the only time I buy mesh at Michael's is when it's on sale, or I'm desperate and I can't find it anywhere else. I like to get it either at Joann Fabrics or Hobby Lobby because Joann's mesh is about the same price. It's a pretty good size roll. I looked through the mesh at Joann Fabrics. They didn't really have much to choose from. I did hear they're going through some financial struggles. Somebody told me that they're dealing with some financial issues, so that may be why things there were not put out, and you know, the stock might not be what it normally is. I don't know, that's just what I heard. And then I also found Blush and Bashful. We have our Blush and Bashful mesh. We're going to put some of each of these in there. I know they're pink and pink. They're Blush and Bashful. I couldn't decide between the two, so I just got one of each. This one is more of a Barbie pink. This one is a little bit more pastel. We will be mixing in a little bit of both of these. So we have the red and white, and we have Blush and Bashful. And while I was looking through my wreath supplies that I keep up in the attic, I thought it would be fun to mix in just a little bit of burgundy. I have this pretty, now this came from Joann Fabrics, this pretty burgundy. I love this mesh. I work it in wherever I can, and I'm already thinking about an Easter wreath because I have this ribbon that I bought a couple years ago at Michael's, and it's just something kind of unusual about it, and I want to do a whole wreath based on that ribbon. But it won't be the regular pastel colors. It'll be a little bit different, and I'm even thinking about incorporating a little bit of this into it. So it will be a slightly different looking Easter wreath from the traditional pastel stuff. So I'm going to hang on to it, but I think I have another roll of this in my stash. So I got this at Joann Fabrics. They had this pretty burgundy, and they also had some in this dark, like a forest green color. It was part of one of their fall collections like a year or two ago, and I bought some of each because I thought it was so pretty. I didn't really have a use for it, but I thought I really like that. They had this burgundy, forest green, and then like a dark, like a teal blue, but kind of dark. It was really pretty. So I got some of each type because I just thought they were so unique, and it was part of their seasonal stuff, so they don't have it all the time. So when you see it, you really just have to grab it, or it may not be there when you go back, and they may not get any more. So I'm going to put in a little bit of this in there too. So we're going to have 5 colors of mesh. I probably won't use a whole lot, but I thought it would look nice to have a little bit of this peeking out here and there in the wreath. Now for this wreath, we're going to do the sunburst technique. You know, there are different ways you can do this. And once you kind of get the basic concepts, you can take this idea and make any kind of wreath you want. You can do any type, any colors, any holiday, whatever you want to do. You can do whatever. Once you have the basics down, you can take it and do whatever you want with it, which is why I like showing you. So then you can take it and come up with your own ideas. That's really cool. I really only use 2 techniques, and these are some that I learned just watching YouTube videos myself. The sunburst technique, which I will show you. Now I'll also show you the roll technique, which you could also do. You could do it all in one technique. You could do it all in the other. You could even mix it up. You could do some of your bundles one way, some another way. You could do the roll technique and the sunburst technique in the same wreath. I've never done that, but I bet it would look really cool. But I think for this one, we're just going to do the sunburst technique. That's what I'm thinking. And while I was looking through my stash of wreath stuff, because I have 2 big totes in the attic full of ribbon and mesh and pipe cleaners and decorative stuff, I found this ribbon. Now this is from Dollar Tree from a year or 2 or 3 ago, and it says Happy Valentine's Day going across here. This is 5/8 inch ribbon. I don't know if I'm going to use it, but I thought I would go ahead and bring it down. I also have this pretty sheer red ribbon. This is also from Dollar Tree, and it's some I had left over from something because it looks like I put a little piece of tape on it right there. So I used a little for something, but not much. So we have that. And then when I was at Hobby Lobby, I bought 2 rolls of ribbon. These are big rolls too. It's 10 yards of this 1/2 inch wide ribbon. And it's like a white satin ribbon with red glitter hearts. And this is a wired ribbon, but that doesn't really matter in this wreath. You can use any kind of ribbon you want. It doesn't have to have wire in it because you're not really going to need it. I will not use all of this. I already know that because that's a lot. That's, yeah, 10 yards. This one is also 10 yards. This one was cute. I thought it has the little pink hearts. This is 5/8 inch ribbon here with little cute little hearts. And I'm not exactly sure how much of it I'm going to use, but whatever I don't use, I will probably just donate. I probably won't put it back in my stash. The wreath itself is also going to be donated. As you may know, I talk about the little thrift store a lot. There is this little thrift store run by this church, and it's totally volunteer staff. Like, nobody gets paid. It's all volunteers. and every bit of the money they make goes to local charities, and they keep a little printout by the front door so you can see exactly how much money they donated and where it all went. It's just very cool. So I thought that I would make this wreath and then give it to them for them to sell for the local charities. So that's where it's going. Look at these. Don't they look real? They're beautiful. These are artificial flowers that I bought at Hobby Lobby, and they were 40% off. They look so real. All that's missing are the thorns. These were $6.99 per stem, but they were 40% off. So what I would do with these is I would cut them and then glue them into the wreath. So I thought it would be pretty to put a couple of these beautiful dark red roses in there. So on each of these stems we have this smaller one here, a little rosebud, and then we have the larger rose up at the top. They're beautiful. It is amazing how far artificial flowers have come over the years. I mean, do you remember what they looked like back in the 70s and 80s? They were so... wow, they didn't look anything like this. And then you start to see like silk flowers, and now we have these, and they're just so beautiful. My goodness. So I'm going to take these and use my little wire cutters, and I will cut these and we will glue them into the wreath along with our little love letters. Oh, it's so cute. It's just adorable. And for the wreath form, I just have this 14-inch wreath form from Dollar Tree. I have the little tag hanging here. Now, a word of caution though, if you buy these at Dollar Tree, I've had to really start checking these, because sometimes you will buy one and it's not really made very well, and it will kind of pop apart if you're not careful. So when I'm considering one for purchase, I would just kind of pick it up and just sort of, I'm not squeezing it hard, but I'm just sort of testing the strength of these little bits of metal here that hold it together, and I'm just making sure it's not going to come apart. You know, I might sort of twist it, not hard, just a little, just enough to make sure it's going to hold together, because I have picked up several and I barely even touched it and it came apart. So, and that didn't used to be an issue, but it seems to be one now. So, I mean, they are only $1.25, but just check them to make sure they're okay. But once you learn this technique, you can use any kind of wreath form you want to do this. You don't have to get this kind. You can get, you know, different shapes and sizes. You can just do any kind of thing you want to. So you can see on here we have these sections. The little pieces that hold it together give you these natural sections. You have 3 up here, 3 down here. And we're going to be making bundles to put on here on this wreath form. And we will probably have 8 to 10 bundles per section. And it takes me, to make one of these wreaths, can take anywhere from 3 to 4 hours. It just depends on how many times I get interrupted, how many times I have to stop. But it's usually about, I would say, 3.5 hours to make one of these. And it's not something I would want to do super frequently. So people ask me, you know, why don't you sell these wreaths? I don't really want to make a whole bunch of them, and I wouldn't feel like trying to go to the trouble to sell it. And, you know, like this wreath right here, even with the discount, has about just under $40 worth of just material in it. And, you know, and then my time, like I would have to sell it for, what would I even have to sell it for to make a profit? Quite a bit. And most people don't want to pay that much. I understand that. It's a whole thing, and it's not something I'm interested in. So I would rather just make one occasionally and donate it or give it to somebody. I'd rather just do that. That's more fun for me. I don't want to sell it. It's all right. So that's our wreath form. I think it's going to be a lovely wreath. I think it's going to be really nice. Another item we're going to need for this wreath is pipe cleaners or chenille stems. Now when you make these, it doesn't really matter what color these are. Personally though, I like for the colors to match whatever kind of wreath I'm doing. And I have a bunch of bags of pipe cleaners in my wreath stash. These are the naturals. This was a bag of naturals, like they're, I don't know, more natural colors or whatever, a little bit more muted. These light brown ones are pretty. I like these. If I need them though, I have some in here that are kind of an off-white. So I will need about, we'll have about 50 bundles for this. But for each bundle, you need half of a pipe cleaner. So you're going to need 25 pipe cleaners. I don't think I have 25 in here, but it's pretty close. But I buy pipe cleaners in bulk. Like I buy big bags of them because they're a lot cheaper that way. But I have some more of these naturals right here, and I can use some of those. I have some red ones. I don't know if I have enough red though, but I found these and I thought we'll just do it all in white. I guess so. If I still didn't have enough, I could use some of these red ones in here. So, oh, and we have a centerpiece for this wreath too. I almost forgot. I have this little piece that I also bought at Hobby Lobby. It was $3.49. I may remove this right here, and so we would just have this little piece to go kind of in the middle. Or I might leave it on, that might help me attach it. See, what I could do is take a pipe cleaner, loop it around this, and attach it to the frame somehow to kind of secure it a little better, and then put some spots of hot glue on it and affix it, probably burning at least one thumb and one finger in the process, because I always do. I always manage to burn myself. But it's just this little press board thing, and it just says "You are loved." Kind of looks like "You are loaned," but it's "You are loved." So we're going to put that in the middle. So you're going to have this in the middle, and then the love letters going all around, and all the pretty colors and the ribbon and everything. I think it's going to look so cute. So the first step to this process is making bundles, and I'm going to show you how to do that. Okay, so we have some ribbon here. I have cut up some of this ribbon. This is that sheer red ribbon that I showed you. Now for the ribbon and the mesh, we're going to want to cut these to be approximately 9 inches long. It does not have to be exact. I mean, you can measure it if you want to. I don't really worry about it so much. And then you take your little pipe cleaner. You see, you have your little pipe cleaner here. You can buy these in bulk online on Amazon, or you can get them in craft stores. You can get them in the craft section at Walmart. I think that's where these came from. So you're going to just take your pipe cleaner and you're going to cut it in half. I have my little wire cutters here. Roughly just to cut them in half. So each pipe cleaner is going to do 2 bundles. You get 2 bundles per pipe cleaner. And I have my different types of ribbon. Here we have that 1.5-inch ribbon. Now when you just cut the ribbon, you know, it's going to be straight across like this. But what if you want it to look a little bit fancy, like this one? Would you rather it look like this or like this? Personally, I like this better. I think this looks a little bit more fancy with the dovetail cut in it right there. So I take a little bit of extra time with my ribbon and I cut them all. And see, I even did this the same way. I cut them all that way with a little dovetailing in there. And that is a very simple thing to do. Like say you have this piece here. Now I do both sides because both sides are going to show in the wreath. You just take your ribbon, fold it in half lengthwise. So right here is where you have the fold. And you're just going to take your scissors and cut that corner off. And if it's a wired ribbon, you can just cut right through it. So you have all these little pieces. I like to keep a trash can nearby to put my little pieces in. And then you're going to turn it around and do the other side. I don't really know of any faster way to do it. I'm getting glitter everywhere from these little hearts. Oh my gosh. But yeah, I just do one piece at a time. And you can do the same with these shorter pieces of ribbon here. I like these little scissors here from Fiskars, but you have to watch it because they have kind of a sharp point. Just be careful with that. But these are great for smaller pieces of ribbon. And they have these little silicone handles that helps you grip them a little better. And again, you just fold them in half lengthwise like that. And here's where it's folded, so you just cut off that corner. And there you go, just like that. And then make sure you do the other side too. It does take a little bit more time, but I think it's super cute. And you end up with stuff everywhere. Yeah, there's going to be a little bit of mess, but that's okay. So we have that. I have some of this pretty pink ribbon, or the white ribbon with the pink hearts too. So these are the ribbons that are going to go into the wreath. Sometimes I use more ribbon, sometimes I use less. You just kind of use your own judgment as far as how much ribbon you want, or you can leave it out altogether. If you don't want any in there, you don't have to use it at all. Whatever looks right to you, that's the right amount of ribbon to use. Alright, now I'm going to show you how to make these bundles. I'm going to show you first the roll technique, which we are not going to use in this wreath, but I'm going to show you how to do it. If you would rather use that to make your wreath, I'm going to show you how to do it. So I have my mesh here, and you see it kind of stays curled up like that. It kind of has a way that it wants to go, like that's the way it was rolled up. When you're doing the roll technique, now these pieces are approximately 9 inches long. I didn't measure them or anything. I just did them. You know, you can make, like, you could take a stiff piece of cardboard and measure it out to 9 inches and cut it, and then like cover it in duct tape or whatever, and use that and just wrap your mesh around it and then just cut it. But I just pull out a length and cut it, pull out a length and cut it. That's just what I do. Now when you do the roll technique exclusively for a wreath, the wreath is not going to bush out as much. It will be more compact. The sunburst technique, sunburst or starburst, I think it's called the sunburst technique. Sometimes I accidentally call it the starburst technique. It tends to stick out more, so the wreath itself is going to be wider than if you do the roll technique. It's just something to keep in mind when you make it. So for the roll technique, it's exactly what it sounds like. You're going to take your piece of mesh and you're just kind of going to smush it together, and then you're just going to roll your piece of mesh in the direction that it wants to go in until you get this right here. And then you're going to hold it either between your fingers or with a chip clip or whatever you want to hold it with. But if you let it go, it's going to spring back the way it was. Now for each bundle, I would do 4 of these. I'm going to go ahead and do a rolled bundle just to show you what that would look like. This is the darker pink. Is that blush or bashful? I'm not sure. And I'll show you the lighter. This is the lighter pink if you want to see the difference. So I'm going to hold this, and it seems kind of awkward at first, but you sort of get used to it. You roll it up. If you have practice rolling stuff, you might find this is very simple for you. Now this mesh is not going to be like the mesh that you get at Dollar Tree. Nothing against the mesh at Dollar Tree, but I've noticed the quality of it has gone downhill quite a bit in the last few years. I don't really even buy it anymore because I was so disappointed with the last few rolls I bought that the quality was just horrible. It's a much flimsier mesh as compared to the mesh that you're going to get at like Michael's or Hobby Lobby or Joann Fabrics. Their mesh is a much better quality, but it is more expensive. So you see how it's, look at that. So we have these little rolls here like this, blush and bashful, very cool. So you're going to continue holding that between your fingers for now. And here's a piece of that white mesh. We're going to do the same thing. Let's just do 3 pieces. I think for the sunburst technique, I'm going to do 4. Let's just do 3 because I'm just showing you this as an example. So you're going to hold them together like this. Now if you want to do ribbon, now is the time to add it. Like say I wanted to put this piece of ribbon in this bundle. This is going to be one bundle right here. So you take your half of a pipe cleaner. Now this is the tricky part. Lay it across the top. You see I'm still holding it. Lay it across the top perpendicularly. going to take these ends and fold them under. Sometimes when I'm doing a demonstration, I forget how to do this. Like, I do it without thinking. Twist them together. And there you go. That's your single bundle. When you add these to the wreath form, you're just going to be attaching these ends. You don't need glue or anything like that. Simply going to take these ends of the pipe cleaner and wrap them around the wire in the wreath form, so you don't have to glue them or do anything weird. It's very simple. When you add these bundles to the wreath, they're automatically going to get kind of smushed up because you're going to have a bunch of these bundles together on the wreath form, and they're automatically just going to kind of compact. So it's not going to look like this. It's going to be more like this. Over here is an example of a roll, or the roll technique in a wreath I did previously. So you can see how it just looks kind of different. It kind of mushes up like that. And it's a smaller, more compact wreath than the sunburst technique, which kind of sticks out all over the place. And it's just like, blah. I like the sunburst technique myself. I'm going to take this apart now because we are not using this technique in our wreath. And a great thing is too, if you start on a wreath and you decide you don't like how it looks, it's very easy to take it apart. You just take it and you just unroll it, and you can use this again. We're going to use this to make a sunburst technique bundle. And you end up with lots of pieces. It's just the nature of the beast. They just go everywhere. Now for the sunburst technique, this is different. We're not going to be rolling it like that. We're going to be grabbing these opposite corners here. Now we're not going to tug on it. We don't want to damage the mesh. Pull on it just a little bit, and you hold that tension there. And you kind of walk your fingers in, and then you're rolling it together like that. And if these little things bother you, which this one is bothering me, you just cut them off and do away with them. You will have mess everywhere, just know that. I hurt my finger. I was putting some stuff in the blessing box Thursday night, and I somehow managed to hit my knuckle right up under the shelf, and it cut me. It did. I'm okay. So if you're just wondering what that is. So again, you see how much longer it is, like it goes way out instead of just the roll, you know, it goes way out. When it's in the wreath, it's going to be kind of like that. So, and it's thinner because you don't have as much of it rolled up here together. So I'm actually going to do 4 pieces of mesh in here instead of 3. So I'm just going to continue holding it like that. Kind of stretch it out a little bit. Grab these opposite corners, pull it, roll it in, lay it on top of this. There. Now you can do your bundles all the same color of mesh. You can alternate. You can really, there are no limits to the way you do this. For me, since I have 5 colors in here, I'm thinking, how much of each color do I want? For the 2 shades of pink and the white and the red, I want to have like basically the same amount of all 4 in the wreath. And that burgundy mesh, I only want 1 piece of that per section. So it's going to be 6 sections on the wreath form, 6 pieces going around, just enough to kind of give a little hint of burgundy here and there. And that's all I want for the burgundy. But you can do one of these in a solid color. You can do this any way you want to. There is no limit there. So we have 3 pieces. Like little bow ties. I'm going to grab a red piece here. Same thing. We're just going to sort of tug on it a little bit like that to kind of pull it into a diamond shape. Walk it in. Roll it up. Place it here. And my table is a mess. It is. On top of that, let's put a piece of this ribbon here. And one of these, don't do a sheer ribbon. I don't think I'm going to do a ton of ribbon in this wreath. I used to do a lot of ribbon. Lately, when I've been making them, I haven't really felt like doing as much. I don't know why. We'll just use that same pipe cleaner we used a minute ago. Again, You lay it across here, pull these ends under. Now you're going to take this whole bundle. I see I'm still holding it because if you let it go, it's just going to go all over the place. Fold it in half. Grab a hold of it. You're not going to hurt it. I kind of squeeze it together and twist it at least 3 times, and then you can let it go. Now your ribbon is going to get all smushed. You can just kind of fold that back out. Or you can wait until you've attached it to your wreath form and then flatten it out. It doesn't matter. So there's one bundle, and I have about 49 more to do. That's why it takes 3 to 4 hours. Let's do one with a piece of that burgundy mesh. So here we have this is that burgundy mesh I was showing you earlier. Going to take that again, pull it like that, roll it kind of in the middle, hold it there like that. We'll take a piece of this pink mesh. So again, I'm going to do 4 pieces of mesh in this bundle. And I'm just grabbing them at random. You fold them and you pull them out, and then you roll them up, and then you place them like that. And I think we'll do a red one. And if I look at it, if I start putting these on the wreath form and I decide I want a little bit more burgundy, you know what? I can just cut some more burgundy and stick it in a bundle and put it in there. You're not really committed to it. I mean, you can change anything you want to, even if you're halfway through making the wreath and you get, like I put them on the wreath form as I go, and then I'm looking at them and I think, I feel like there's too much ribbon on it, or I feel like there's not enough of this. You can always change it. You're not committed to it. So you can really make this wreath any way you want to. So there's another bundle, and it has that little bit of burgundy in there too. And I may decide I want 2 pieces of burgundy per section. And if so, then I will just go ahead and add it in there. Let's take a piece of this light pink, pull it, and roll it kind of in the middle. And you just keep holding it. Now you don't want to let it go, because it won't stay like that. And the more you do of these, you get to where you can make these bundles faster and faster as you go. And it's really cool to see how quickly you can get them done. And then you get ideas for new wreaths and new things. You may even have people asking you to make them a wreath. Who knows? I mean, anything is possible. Let's do this little wreath, this little ribbon with the hearts. We're going to do one more. I try to keep this pipe cleaner about the same length on either side. There. Like that. I like the pretty colors, the way they come down. It's almost like some kind of Valentine's Day butterfly or something. I was going to say peacock, but these make me think of a butterfly. Okay. Let's do another one. We'll do one more, and then I'm going to show you how you attach these bundles to the wreath form. It is so easy. Now, we're not doing the decorative pieces yet. We're not doing the love letters and the flowers. Those will actually be the last thing we do. We have to get all the bundles made and added to the wreath form first. And then we will get into that. Again, we have Blush and Bashful. That. White. And red. This is a fun thing to do while you're watching a movie or listening to an audiobook or a podcast or whatever, or just enjoying some peace and quiet. Well, I enjoy it. It's not something I'd want to do all the time, though. I think then it would just start to feel like work, and I don't think I would enjoy it as much. So we now have 4 bundles, and I'm going to grab the wreath form and I will show you how to add it. Okay, here we have the wreath form. Now, this wreath form has a front and a back. This is not a solid, the way it's put together. You see how it has kind of an arch to it? It has a convex side, and then if you flip it over, it's like concave. Boop. This is the back. This concave section is the back of the wreath form, and this is actually the part that we're going to be looking at when we add the bundles to the wreath form. We're going to have it flipped upside down, so we have this concave section facing us back here. So here we have this bundle. This is so pretty. I love all these colors. Okay, you see you have these little ends of the pipe cleaner. This is so easy. Now you see that we have 4 wires here, 4 rings, and then these pieces holding it together. So you have 6 sections, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So we're looking at the back. We are only going to be attaching things to the 2 inner rings here. We're not going to attach anything to this or this. So you just take this, and again, this is going to be facing front, this thing. You take your ends here, and they're going to kind of straddle these 2 wires, and you bring them together and you just twist them together and then tuck it under like that. Okay, so that we have now added 1 bundle to the wreath form. Here's another one. Bring it up under there. And again, you're going to take those 2 pieces, the 2 ends of the pipe cleaner, straddle the 2 wires, twist them together, and push them under like that. And they're going to be very loose and floppy on the wreath form at this point, but don't worry about it, because once you add more, it's not going to be like that. And a third one is coming in here. What I do is typically I'll make a bunch of bundles and then I'll add them. I'll make like 10 bundles and then add them, 10 to 12, and then I'll make 10 to 12 more and add them. And I distribute them. I normally don't clump them up like this, but I'm doing this to show you. I distribute them around the wreath form evenly. So that way, if I have a limited amount of something, I make sure it's distributed all the way around and it doesn't end up just clumped in one area. Plus, I can see what it's going to look like, and I can decide if I want less or more of something. Take the 2 ends of the pipe cleaner again around these 2 wires. Twist them together, tuck them under. Now I'm going to turn this over to show you what this looks like. There. This is what it looks like so far, and you can see how far it sticks out from the wreath form. So it's going to look a lot bigger than this 14-inch wreath form. The rolled technique would make it much more compact. I felt like going with this one. I usually feel like going with this technique. It's my favorite. So it doesn't look like a whole lot now, although I'm looking at it, I'm thinking I definitely do not want this much ribbon in there. So probably what I would do is alternate. I would do maybe 1 bundle with ribbon and then do 1 or 2 with no ribbon and then 1 with ribbon. I don't want this much ribbon in there. I think it's too much. But that's probably what I'm going to do while I put it together. So I'm going to continue making these bundles and adding them to the wreath form. And then we'll come back and see how it looks after all the bundles have been added. Okay, I have finished making all of my bundles and adding them to the wreath form, and I'm ready to show it to you before we decorate it. Look at that. See, remember the wreath form is only 14 inches wide. Look how big it is once you add all of the bundles to it. Oh my gosh. I'm really glad I decided to add in that burgundy ribbon, the burgundy mesh. And I ended up doing 2 pieces per section instead of just 1. And I went kind of light on the ribbon. I didn't do a whole lot of ribbon on this one. But I think it turned out nice. And here's what the back looks like. You can see I used all these just plain white pipe cleaners. And then it all just kind of comes together here. This mesh is very, very solid. So I think it looks really cute, but it's not done yet because we still have to add our decorative stuff to it. See, we're going to take this right here. I'm going to remove the price tag, but we're going to kind of wedge this in there, find a way to get that in there where you can see it, but that so it's attached securely. And then we're going to take our little love notes and put those in there. The tag said there are 30 of these little love notes. And here you can see what they look like. It's just basically, it's just a little folded piece of felt, and it has a little bit of stitching around the edges. So we have 30 of these. I don't know if I'm going to get all 30 in there. I don't know, but they're so cute. And of course we have our roses. We're going to put these roses in there too. So yeah, so I'm going to go decorate it, and all I do, I just use a hot glue gun, and I just kind of look at it, and I just kind of decide where I want stuff to go. And it's really just up to you to decide where to put stuff on there, and each wreath is different, so I don't have any hard and fast rules for how to do it. You just kind of have to do it based on what looks right to you. So I'm going to go add my decorations, and then we'll take a look at it. Okay, the wreath is all done. I have finished adding all the decorative stuff to it, and I'm ready to show it to you. It's kind of hard to see the little "You Are Love" thing, and I ultimately decided not to attach it because I am donating it, and whoever buys it, if they want to take it out and hang it up separately, they totally can. So right now, I just kind of have it tucked down into the mesh. It's just kind of nestled down in there. But we have our flowers. The flowers are just kind of all over the place, and so are the little love notes. They're tucked everywhere into this wreath, and it's a big old wreath. And so we have the pink, red, and white little love notes. There's one and there, and they're all tucked away all over the place in here. So I think it turned out really cute. I do like the burgundy bits of mesh in there. I think they add a nice little bit of like a little bit of a depth of color or something. I'm not a big fan of just super light pastel looking wreaths. I like to add a little bit of darker color to it here and there. Just to me, it just kind of balances it out. That's my problem with Easter wreaths, is that they're too pastel most of the time. And that's why this year I wanted to try to come up with something a little different, but that'll be later on. Right now we're just looking at the Valentine's Day wreath, and this doesn't really stand out a whole lot, but it was kind of hard to get it in there where it would stay, where you could see it, because the mesh kind of comes up around it. But anyway, here we have my little love letter wreath, which was inspired by the little felt love letters that I saw and decided to decorate it with. And there we have it. And you could do something just like this, or you could take this idea and make a totally different kind of wreath with it. You could just do hundreds and hundreds of different things with this one technique, or the roll technique that I showed you earlier, or a combination of the two. You could totally do it. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed getting to see this great big old Valentine's Day wreath today. Great big. And thank you so much for being here. I really hope that you have a great day, and I'll see you again soon.